So we go. There's our camera. We know where it is the whole time. Yep.
But we don't have a 2-camera shot here?
No. All right, 3, 2, 1. We are live. Hello, high school football fans. This is Drew Sarachman with Mark Milano, and we are down at Centennial Plaza in downtown Canton for the big Stark Media McKinley-Massillon game tailgate party. You see TJ Downing's arm there in the getting in the picture. There's TJ. Everyone say hi to TJ. Little quiet down here at Centennial Plaza right now. Jerseys opens at 11 a.m. They're going to start. Everyone's going to start filing in here. We're going to go until 1:45 today. TJ is going to check with Brianna real quick, make sure we got the audio going in the plaza, TJ. And we've got coaches coming in, Mark. We're going to review what happened last night. We've got Jeff Lindesmith at 10:45. We've got AJ Sarbaugh at noon. We've got some of his players coming down. We're doing this today just to, give people some live content on their Saturday morning to watch before the Massillon-McKinley game, the big game over at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium at 2 o'clock. We want to thank all of our sponsors that made this show possible today. The Parcher Realty team, located right across the street, right across Market Avenue there. We appreciate everything they're doing. They're handing out some swag today, so make sure you get down here. Come say hi to us. This is, going to be a pretty open thing today. If you want to drop in, say hi, make sure you do that. We also want to thank Jersey's Cafe, Chris Majori, for helping us out as well. Pat Wyatt, who runs Centennial Plaza, we appreciate him. Hey, yeah, it's early. It's 10:23 in the morning. Luckily, Pat and his wife got Carpe Diem Coffee Shop right around the corner.
Right.
So if you need a cup of coffee, we can do that. But let's get right into things last night. Kind of a wild night.
Well, you expect that out of Week 10, though,
Yeah.
don't you? With the rivalries that are out there. And it's, so many times when you come into those games, you could say, hey, so-and-so was an underdog here, and they wind up winning these things. But that's the beauty of Week 10. And when you talk about it, the thrust of our discussions today are going to be about the McKinley-Massillon game.
Yep.
Drew, I don't remember the last time going into that game that a team had 2 weeks to prepare for that game.
That's big.
And I had somebody tell me they think that that's going to be a detriment to them because they didn't play. And I said, no way. You give me 2 weeks to focus on one team.
Absolutely.
I'll take that.
Especially with how good Massillon's coaching staff is. Those guys, I'm sure they're going to have almost every single film that McKinley's got out there. So to give those guys an extra 2 weeks, and here's the other thing. It's end of the season. Guys get banged up.
Right.
So it gives everyone a week to get healthy. Obviously, they're still practicing and doing those things, but it gives them extra time, and I think they'll be prepared. I think McKinley will be prepared as well. TJ, can we cut down the volume in the PA system because I'm getting a lot of feedback here. Okay. But we're going to go, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here this morning, but we're going to go into last night and go over some of these scores from last night. And, Jeff Tyler and myself were out at Tuslaw for the Blue Cup, Fairless versus Tuslaw game. That was kind of a game that is almost like a trap game for Fairless. It's a rivalry game. It's a team they should have beat. It is a team that, was down on their luck a little bit. But Fairless came out, and they scored real quick. They scored 3 quick touchdowns in that game. Not until the second half did Tuslaw get anything going offensively.
What do you think of the Tuslaw quarterback?
I like Troy Harvard there. I think he's a good player. Tommy Schneider, the receiver there, did really well. Also, They just had some missed opportunities in the first half. So to give you an example, I think the score's 14-0, and they just run a little inside zone play. And they did something with the receivers, maybe running like speed outs, and the safeties for Fairless just flew down. And the middle of the field is wide open. They hand the ball off. Running back gets through the linebackers, or through the line, through the linebackers, and there's no one for 60 yards.
Wow.
And he trips and falls.
So, well, I can't say the carpet got him because that's a grass surface that they're playing on. And I think maybe that's the only school in Stark County.
I think they are. I think it's the last school in Stark County that has grass. I think you're correct there. So that was kind of interesting. Then, there was a fumble that was called a fumble right before halftime that I'm not sure it was for Tuslaw. But, they battled. I think they scored on 2 other 3 drives in the second half. Those kids were playing hard. And like we were talking before the broadcast, one of the things that sticks out to me about Fairless is their speed. And their skill positions are really skilled. We're going to have some of those guys down here today, A.J. Sarbaugh.
I'm pretty sure that Pumnio and Yoder are both track guys, too.
Yeah, and they're really fast. TJ, you share our link out on social media so everyone knows we're live. But, yeah, they were phenomenal. I was a little disappointed with how Fairless played up front. I thought Tuslaw kind of gave it to him up front. So that's something, Fairless is going to have to fix. But we'll get into some of the other games. Hoover and Jackson.
Yeah, that's the one that
we were at.
Yeah, and I thought there was going to be more scoring in this game, but it was truly a defensive battle. And I said it during the course of the broadcast, I think that there's 3 plays during the course of a game that's going to dictate the outcome of it. And one of those plays was a 3rd and 12 that Jackson had, and they threw this little screen pass that wound up going for about a 60-some-yard touchdown. And then all of a sudden you look back and you see the hanky hanging on, sitting on the carpet over there, and there was a block in the back. That would have completely changed the complexity of the game. That would have tied things up. And, once that happens, and then again, so Jackson's coming down the field at the end of the game, and they can't get their last play off. There was 3 seconds left to go, and you would have liked to see them have that opportunity, but the clock management at the end of that game for Jackson was not good.
Well, I saw the video of the last 2 plays, and obviously when you have a freshman in there who's played phenomenally for Jackson, you're trying to get him up to speed. I wonder, it kind of looked like he wasn't sure about, like, had they had a play that they had to clock it earlier in that drive?
Oh, several.
Okay, all right. Because it kind of looked like, am I in the gun?
Wait a second. John Lindsay is in the
house.
Oh,
boy.
Hey, are you going to dance for us today, too?
We're on YouTube. You can say that. We're not on the radio. So.
Yeah. I want to bring you guys a pizza, man.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And it's a little egg pizza here. Isn't that car? It smells so good. We almost started eat. But hey, man. Congratulations on you guys. Got a hell of a team going there, and you want to do something.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's always good to see you, my brother.
What's your name?
Drew Sarachman. I live right around the corner from you guys. We get carry out all the time.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I tell my wife, I'm like, I think I want pizza. All right, well, you can only get a small. I said, all right, well, I'm going to Lindsay's because there's 9 pieces in a small.
That's great.
Hey, thank you for everything you do here for everybody. There you go. All righty.
Appreciate it. So we got a nice little pizza here.
Yeah.
We'll sit over here. I'm sure some of the players will enjoy that as they come during the game. But, yeah, that Hoover-Jackson game. And, I was talking to some people before the game, and they're like, what do you think of that game? And I said, I feel bad because the instances that I've seen Hoover, I think I'm like their bad luck charm. I saw them in the scrimmage against the Lions.
I was with you.
They got their butts kicked.
They did not look good that day.
I saw them against McKinley.
Right.
They got their butts kicked. And then I saw them against Lake where they played well, but, Mason Ashby had a couple fumbles. Luke Roach was banged up. So, someone asked me, describe Hoover. And I said, they don't do anything bad, but they don't wow you either. They're just a solid football team. Mm-hmm. And, Jackson's kind of been on a roller coaster. It seems like, it's something new every week at Jackson, whether it's quarterbacks or injuries or, overtime game or so they've been on a roller coaster the whole year. And I thought Hoover had a chance to get them. Did Luke Roach play in that game?
He did not.
So, that's an impressive win.
Well, and Luke last year, I think, had 1,000 yards rushing probably midway through the season. Mm-hmm. And what they've done offensively has changed completely. I mean, they're a much more balanced team, and Brian said that when I interviewed him before the game had gotten started. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, Westfall came in and filled in for Luke Roach, and he did a great job. Brady Sullivan coming back for North Canton's a big deal. I think that this North Canton team is getting better. I like what they're doing on defense. I love Josh Grimsley and what he's doing over there. But they are solid and they are balanced. So we'll see what happens here.
The growth of Carson Derlin has been impressive to me too. Like he doesn't get the publicity that some of these other quarterbacks do, but he's a big guy. He throws some nice balls. The other receiver there, number 10, Zach Brocker.
I'll tell you what's got great hands. And his dad was a great quarterback at North
He's only
Canton.
a sophomore, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, everyone's always worried about Ashby, but Zach Rocker's been making some good plays for them. So, Hoover's in that Division II Region 7 with Perry, with Green, with Maslin, and I think they're sitting at the 6th seed right now. So they should get a home game coming up, Hoover, in the playoffs. So I think, they've got an opportunity to make some noise.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. As it stands right now, I mean, obviously Maslin's 1, Lake's 2. That's not going to change. North Canton is 6. Green is in the 12th spot, and then Perry's at 15. But you sent me a very intriguing text message earlier today about what could possibly happen here. Yeah,
so from what I understand, we had Zach Slates on the show. What was that? On High School Football Rewind, I think week 4. They were 3-1. They were playing well, and I said to him, hey, Coach, your team's doing well. It's your second year. I think everyone deserves to see Maslin Perry again. And Zach Slates wasn't wild about it. And he said, you know what, if we play them, it's going to be in the playoffs. Well, it might get their wish because right now, if Columbus Northland beats Columbus Beechcroft today, which both are similar teams, and Maslin beats McKinley, that would put Perry at the 16 seed and have to take on the Maslin Tigers.
Who needs Joe Itel when I've got you sitting next to me?
I know, I was. Oh, that pizza looks great, TJ. Look at that. Look at those peppers. We share this out on Twitter, TJ. Okay, cool. I think Stark County might get the matchup they want. I don't think, obviously I think Maslin's a better football team than Perry, but that's a lot of hoopla to deal with the week after a McKinley-Maslin game.
Yeah, well, Perry would be savage in that game. They're going to do anything they could to try to win that, and the disdain that they have for Maslin, it isn't even close. I don't think that those two schools will ever play each other during the regular season.
It doesn't seem that way from what we're hearing.
But think of the gate that you would get when they would play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it'd be great for the communities. Obviously, there's some hard feelings there between the coaching staffs, but, it is what it is. So, speaking of Perry, last night they play at Glen Oak.
TJ's still smiling.
Yeah, Glen Oak is up in that game 21-0 at halftime. And I talked to Glen Oak defensive coordinator Mike Cook this morning, and he was like, okay, first half's good, offense is scoring, but the problem is when the offense is scoring, they were scoring right now. Boom, 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 boom. And the defense was getting tired out there. So, the defense was starting to get a little winded, and as Perry does, that offense, kind of wears you down. And I think that's what was happening to Glen Oak. Perry had that comeback. Towards the end of the game there was a question on with the officials, whether it was third down, whether it was fourth down. They said it was third down after a penalty, which wasn't a replay of the down penalty. And Glen Oak staff saying, no, it's fourth down. This next play is fourth down. And this is as Perry's breaking the huddle. So Perry throws the ball, and it's incomplete. And Glen Oak defense comes off the field, and I guess Slates comes on the field and said, no, that was third down. Officials say it was fourth down. and then that's pretty much the ball game there. They're able to hold on.
But what a great win for Glen Oak. And what
Absolutely.
Scott Garcia is doing over there. We talked about him having to try to change the culture that's over there, getting those kids back in the weight room, and they looked much better this year than they did last year. But, being in Division I and coming in there, I think that they went to the playoffs last year with a 1-9 record.
Yeah.
And congratulations, you get to play Lakewood St. Ed's.
Yeah, that was. So right now, what it appears is, depending on what happens today, it looks like Glen Oak is either going to play St. Ignatius or a rematch with McKinley. McKinley took it to them last week. So they're going to fall somewhere in that range. There's still some things to iron out there in Division I, Region I. But if I'm Glen Oak, not that you don't want to play McKinley, but this Ignatius team is down. They are not the Ignatius team of old. I know the offense coordinator up there, Carter Wheelo, he said, we have a very disciplined, very smart football team, and we don't have an abundance of talent. So, maybe Glen Oak, that's a matchup they might feel good about. Also, we'll get a couple scores here. In about 5 minutes, we're going to have the head coach of the Canton Central Catholic Crusaders, Jeff Lindesmith's going to jump on with us. So we'll try to run through some of these scores, and then we'll finish getting through them. Lake 55, Green 7.
Not a shocker there.
Not a shocker. I thought Green would score more just because of how prolific their offense is and stuff like that. But that's a nice, strong win for Lake going into the playoffs.
Lake, to me, is like the Rodney Dangerfield of Stark County. Nobody wants to give them every week. It's, they're going to have to play Perry. They're going to have to do this. And all they've done is run the table, and the one loss to McKinley. This is a solid Lake team who does have some injuries, so you got to wonder, where some of those injuries are going to wind up being. I don't know that we're going to see Ty Miller come Week 11, but I'll tell you what, when you add him in there with Sedmock and Snyder, they've got some speed.
Yeah.
And I love their running back.
Oh, Solberger's tough. He's a really tough kid. The line, they've had to do some makeshift things with that offensive line. They lost a fullback for a while. To me, though, that defensive Lake runs and they hit. You got Dane Jarvis over there on the defensive side. You got Evan Brady, the linebacker,
who can run.
You've got the defensive backs, Baker and Snyder, who are really tough kids. I like this Lake squad, and I really hope we get to see a Lake Mass.
Okay, so if you're the head coach over at Lake right now, who's your starting quarterback?
I think there's spots that you use them both. I think they both have strengths. However, I think Will Butler is a more maybe complete quarterback, but I think when you use him and the defense knows he's going to run the ball 90% of the time, that allows the defense to do some things that make him less effective. I think when, against McKinley, when he did have some turnovers and made mistakes, which I'm sure he learned from, his running was more effective because they knew, hey, he's going to throw the ball too. Where at Hoover, I think he attempts one pass, and I think it makes the offense less effective when he doesn't throw it. Now, he did throw a touchdown last night. I like Cale Jarvis, too, and he's going to be your starter next year. It's a position, if I'm Coach Dan DeGeorge, it's not a problem, but it's definitely uncomfortable because of the noise that it creates.
Well, I'll tell you.
Us and the parents and,
I use that to my advantage.
Yeah.
Will Butler can throw the football.
Absolutely.
So everybody's going to load up the box and think he's going to run it, and then he throws a pass. That could wind up hurting them. They're both really good athletes, and I'll tell you, the thing that's good is the fact that when Jarvis is playing quarterback and he's getting more reps there, that gives Will a little bit of a break because he's playing defense too. And I never like my quarterbacks playing defense.
Yeah, it's tough. It depends on the kid. If he's that good, you kind of have to. Going back, when Canton Central Catholic, when they won a couple state championships, Vince Caliata had to be on the field for that defense.
Yeah.
Steve
Barr at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. So another, Louisville takes it on the nose last night. Tough season for Coach Troy Davis there. We're not sure what's going to happen there. That was 45-19. We already talked about Fairless Tusslaw, 41-14. CVCA beats Manchester, 48-14. Orville, who came hot here,
I don't.
down the stretch.
So Jeff Tyler, we're talking about this, but what's gotten into Orville?
They do it all the time. They do it towards the end of the season. Happens all the time. When I was the head coach at Triway, I mean, they stunk at the beginning of the season, and then we saw them week 10. They're like, oh, hey, look, we found this kid named Markwell Parks, and he's been on our team, but we're going to give him the ball 30 times a game now. So good luck.
Wow.
So, yeah, Orville's, really tough right now. Canton South pulls out a win, 21-20. Northwest goes for 2. Didn't get it, didn't get the ball back, and they hold on. And how about this? A 5-way tie.
Right.
For first place in the pack.
It's got to be the first time that's ever happened in the
Yeah.
pack for sure. I always thought that Canton South going into the pack was a perfect spot for them.
Yeah, I agree.
And when they came in there, I don't care if it's going to be baseball, basketball, football, I really thought that they were going to be able to compete for sure in football. And sure enough, here they are. They're going to be co-champs. Poochie Snyder, I've been saying this.
He's
I've been
good.
saying this for years now. This kid's going to be my pick for Stark County Player of the Year. His numbers are better than Drew DeShields at West Branch.
And here's the other thing, too. He's got the clutch factor to him. Like, he walks out on that field when they're down or when they need a play, and he's like, I'm going to make this play.
Yeah. Well,
and you can't do anything about it.
having Matt Trissel to kind of bring him
Yeah,
along.
Matty Triss. Yeah.
who I really like him. But Poochie, holy smokes. I mean, he doesn't make bad decisions out there, and he can beat you with his legs, too.
Yeah.
He's an impressive young man, and that's why we were talking about last night after we got done. TJ said, well, okay, if Christmas comes early, what do you want to do this week? And I said, I don't want to do a 1-16 game, which would be Maslin and maybe Perry. I said, I want to do a South game.
Yeah, I mean, they're exciting to watch. Coach Matt Dennison, gets his squad rolling over there offensively all the time. He's had some great quarterbacks over the years his time at New Philly. So, I think they're a team that can make some noise in the playoffs, and they're in a tough region also. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to bring on the head coach of the Canton Central Catholic Crusaders, who Mark and I are not happy with right now because he beat the piss out of our Knights.
Hey, 364 days a year, I keep telling him. I love him.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.